Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the SHW F1 podcast. My name is Tom Delicati. I'm here with Dr. Brady King and John White. You see that? I got it right that time.
I got it right that time.
Yep.
Man,
I
I've
even
been
paused
demoted.
just to remember how to say it right. We are your underinformed American buddies talking about F1. And go ahead, guys, pat yourselves on the back for recording 2 weeks in a row. It's been a while.
Wow. Look at us.
It's summer. Things gotta get done.
We're old men.
Yeah.
We have things to do.
Mm-hmm.
But
very
not
busy
tonight.
people.
Not tonight. Here we are. So we're coming up to Singapore this week. We'll chat about that. I think we got to talk about Max going to the Nurburgring and winning his first race in whatever it is, GP3. You'll have to tell me about that.
We'll try again and get it right.
Yeah, some rumors swirling around about the driver market. Also, John wanted to talk about potential new segment for our show. That'll be fun. But I think we owe it to ourselves. We owe it to the F1 community. We owe it to our 18th favorite driver on the grid, Lewis Hamilton, to talk about Roscoe. So the big news today was Lewis's dog, Roscoe. He's been all around the paddock for more than a decade, and Roscoe had to be put down yesterday. Now, we've all lost a pet, and it's a very, very hard time. I have a lot of sympathy for Lewis in this situation.
Yeah, especially since, you haven't seen him running around with a girlfriend. I know he's close to his dad, but that dog went with him everywhere. And, dogs become a part of the family. Animals in general do. I know Brady's got cats. Animals that you live with become a part of the family, and it gets tough to see him go. It's a hard thing to deal with.
Yeah, it's not so long ago that I recently went through this too, and it's just sort of bringing up all those emotions all over again, right? And the story of what happened there, without like recapping tons of details to make everybody cry while they're listening to this, are pretty rough, and it's just sad that he has to go through that, especially coming up on a race week. I mean, sorry, man. If you're listening out there, Lewis, much love.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very difficult, very challenging, way more challenging than I thought it would be. We had a small dog who lived almost 17 years, and through the last 3 or 4 years, he was just kind of limping along. We're like, I'm not sure how much longer he's going to last. And sure enough, he would just keep on going. But you emotionally and mentally prepare for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And no matter how much prep you think you have, or no matter how prepared you think you are, when the day actually comes for something like this to happen, it wrecks you emotionally, or at least it wrecked me.
And my understanding for Lewis here was that this was not expected, right? Like, it was more like for a routine. I don't know about a routine check. I don't understand all the details, and I tried to avoid it because I didn't want to break down crying. But it was more of a shock than it was something that he'd been preparing for a while.
Yeah. Well, and still, when we were going through our stuff with our small dog, they told us, here's the life expectancy of this breed. When there's not going to be a ton of years left.
Yeah.
When the dog's getting
How old was Roscoe?
I don't
14.
That's really old.
I thought that was a pretty
14.
good run for that breed.
Yeah, I think he adopted him in 2013.
Wow.
And he was 14.
Oof. So R.I.P. Roscoe.
Right.
I mean, I'm not making light of this in any way, shape, or form. It's super sad. And I hated to start our discussion with that, but it was more of we have to address it and, move on and talk about the rest of our week here. We saw that Max went to the Nurburgring last weekend. So he went to Azerbaijan and he won in Baku.
Mm-hmm.
And then within a week later, he was driving his first race in that series and won.
Right.
Of course.
So we should point out here, though, that, Max does quite a bit of like endurance racing, sim racing, right? Not out of Formula One. But a couple of weeks ago, he participated, and I don't remember the name of the race exactly, but this was also at the Nurburgring to get his permit so that he could race in GT3, which is what he raced in this time. And then, of course, goes out, crushes it on his first one. And this is a sort of a tune-up. It sounds like he's preparing for doing the big races, the 24-hour at the Nurburgring. And I believe that's for next year in May, if I have this correct. I'd have to go and look that up exactly, but I'm pretty sure that's when that is. So, if I remember correctly, I saw the news report that it's in like one of his off weeks. So sure enough, yeah, 1 week off, do a 24-hour race. Why not? Screw it. Guy just can't get enough.
Is this the same series of racing where he was going under the Franz Ferdinand made up name? Remember that? Or was that a different series altogether?
I thought that was the sim racing, but I could be wrong.
This guy cannot get enough racing.
Seriously, man. I mean, it's cool, like that, you're essentially, I'm an F1 driver and my hobbies include just more racing, like other like categories. Whereas like Tom, you play guitar, whatever, like you have other hobbies. It seems like Max does nothing but racing.
If I was that good at racing, I would do nothing but racing too. I can see him like going to NASCAR in a couple of years just to prove that, like, yeah,
why not? Yeah, screw it.
Well, he definitely likes winning. So I think he finds things that he's very good at and wins at and just keeps doing those things.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to break down the psyche of Max Verstappen here, but
go ahead.
But I'm going to try.
I do think that, in my professional opinion, it's either some sort of like obsession, and I don't know if it's an obsession with racing or if it's an obsession with competing or an obsession with winning. Like some people just have that. Some professional athletes just have that. And this reminds me of like Days of Thunder. They both get released from the hospital and they're racing in their wheelchairs.
Yeah.
Like it does kind of have that, like he's just so competitive that he can't do anything without trying to be absolutely excellent at it.
But it's kind of funny because we've seen some of these guys when they go to do like, what is it, paddle ball or whatever they're doing on Try to Survive. And they're not always, I mean, you can't say they're not athletic because they're clearly athletes, the world-class athletes, but they are kind of not coordinated sometimes.
Yes. Athleticism does not equal coordination. Let's be very clear about that.
Yeah, just ask the strong men. They're not very coordinated, but they're very athletic.
Exactly. But, there's a different type of athleticism that's required for motor racing than there is, for example, paddleball or pickleball, tennis, whatever they are, racket sports. Let's just lump it all together. But I can picture Max competing like with toothbrushing or something like that. Like he is so competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we saw that in DTS whenever they were playing the paddle ball or whatever it was. And all the guys were always like, Max is very competitive. He always wants to win.
I mean,
at everything. It's not a bad mentality to have. I mean, it's work.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's that, we talk about it here in the States, especially like with, and John, plug your ears. We're going to talk about basketball for a second here. But with like the, you've heard the term, the Mamba mentality, like very Kobe Bryant, where it is just so focused and so, I don't even know if passionate's the right word. It's an obsession. It's an obsession with doing something great as to the best of your ability and then pushing yourself beyond that. And I don't know if that's ego or just passion.
It's different depending on whether you're successful at it. So if you're Max and you're winning all the time, you're winning at F1, you're winning at GT racing or whatever, and you're obsessive about it, everyone's going to look at it and go, man, that's what you need. You need that guy to do that. But if Max was super competitive about it, but constantly came in like 19th or wasn't even an F1 driver, if Kobe Bryant was a terrible basketball player, but was super obsessive about winning, people would just look at him like he's crazy. So it's both, right? You have to win and be obsessive about it. And that's a rare breed. right? Like, it's kind of interesting because if you look at some of the other guys out there, I'm sure they all want to win, but who else on the grid right now has the sort of like killer mentality that Max has?
Oscar.
I was going to say arguably Oscar, but I don't think very many other people out there anymore. Lewis at one point, and certainly Fernando, but
yeah, it's where drive and talent coincide.
Yeah,
like you can have the drive and not the talent, and you can have the talent and not the drive, and those two things by themselves will only get you so far. But if you have both of them, like, it's going to be badass.
Leclerc is the perfect example, right? Like, all the talent in the world, and what separates him and Max between machinery also is just the absolute will to get it done.
I mean, he did forego landing in Nice because he thought that there were storms when everybody else landed ahead of him. So if you guys
that was really
funny to watch that little clip,
we'll circle back to that. But the bit about Max, you brought it up earlier, Brady. Like, I have hobbies. I don't just do X. I actually do a bunch of other things, and that's because I'm not winning at everything. So if I was winning, maybe I'd be more passionate about stuff.
Hey, we are mediocre at a lot of things, okay?
And I'm comfortable with that. I'm very okay with the bed that I've made in my life.
8 billion people on the planet, there's only one Max Verstappen, so you can't be... when we say it's a rare breed, there's one of them. Just one guy. So... it's not surprising.
Do you think? So that's a good question. It's a hypothetical, but do you think? Because I never really watched a ton of interviews. Everything I've seen has always been just a dramatization of his life. But I do kind of think that Senna was probably along this same line. He just didn't have all the outlets to do it.
He didn't have the sim racing, or whatever. But like, he drove quite a bit. And I mean, these guys all grew up kart racing, and obviously a lot of it is down to, when we say 8 billion people and it's him, money and access, obviously. I mean, maybe there's somebody that doesn't have that. I mean, hell, maybe we're just as good and we just were never exposed to it when we were that little.
That's what I tell myself every morning.
No, we're not, but okay.
But
there's definitely guys in the past that were like that. Just Max is that current one, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And that was my other point. Like, they brought it up again this weekend that Max is now tied with Lewis Hamilton and I think Michael Schumacher for the number of Grand Slams in their career. And if you're unfamiliar with what a Grand Slam is, oh shoot, now I got to look it up because I forgot. I believe it's a baseball term. I believe it's pole position, led every lap, fastest lap, and won the race. I think that's the criteria for a Grand Slam.
Basically, dominate the weekend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he and Lewis and I think Schumacher are tied, I believe, of 5 Grand Slams in their career. And
that's so many.
but they bring up the guy that is alone in first place. And you got to go back. I believe it was the 60s, but he died in a wreck. Is Jim Clark.
Yeah.
If you are an F1 enthusiast or even just a racing enthusiast, go and look up some of the information or what people said about Jim Clark. But he basically drove anything he possibly could, raced in any situation he possibly could. He was going from Formula One race one weekend. Oh, they have an off weekend next week. Let me go race over here. Let me go. He had options. I could go race over here or I could go race over there.
Yeah, he was doing Formula One, Formula 2. He'd come over here, do the Indy 500.
Yeah.
And then he'd go back.
Wild.
And it's like, dude, take a day off.
do some homework on Jim Clark, because that kind of feeds the same mentality of like, he was probably cut from that. Senna, maybe Schumacher, and to your point, like maybe Lewis did at some point kind of have that same. I don't know if he had the same drive to compete week in, week out, day in, day out. Maybe his focus was a little more on the F1 calendar. But my point is that, or your point is, Max is the current version of this. And I don't know how rare this is, but it seems pretty rare.
Well, it seems like we always have to have like what, not always, but we usually have one. And maybe it's just the best person gets that extra drive because they're closing in on being the best. I mean, like first it was Jordan, then it was Kobe, then it's LeBron. Now we're going from Schumacher to, to Lewis to Max. Who's the next one, right?
Yeah, and don't skip over Vettel in that conversation too.
Yeah, sure.
There was a period of time, But yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think that it'll be interesting to see how it plays out with Max. If he continues to spread himself beyond the F1 calendar. I mean, the F1 calendar is already so demanding from a travel perspective and racing. Like he's just, it seems like 52 weeks a year he just wants to race, and that's fine.
It's
Let's
not like
just
these
see how
endurance
it plays
events
out.
are December. They're in the middle of the F1 calendar,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it plays out for him. Maybe he does more, maybe he doesn't. But either way, hey, Max, congrats on your victory at Nurburgring this weekend.
Yeah, way to go.
Well, let's take a quick break, and we're going to talk about maybe some driver rumors for next year or the year after. And John wants to talk about maybe a new segment that he wants to try out. So stick with us.
Gold Coast cheese, Gold Coast flavor from the Gold Coast man himself. Introducing Jack's Cheesy Mac, brought to you by Jack Doohan & Co. Basically just him, but it sounds cooler. Crafted with exactly 5 cheeses, not 4, not 6, 5. Exactly 5, and no more cheeses. This Mac is guaranteed to send your taste buds into the wall faster than Liam Lawson. As a reserve driver for the Frenchies, he's had plenty of time to sit around perfecting this masterpiece instead of actually racing, so now the world gets his Mac. Pair it with black pepper crab under the Singapore lights, or throw it on top of the bangers and mash when you're in the pub crawl needing a little pit stop snack. Because let's face it, Box Mac is for back markers. If you want podium level pasta, you need something from Jack. Jack's Cheesy Mac. When life gives you elbows, make a macaroni.
5 cheeses.
5 cheeses.
Exactly 5.
Do you think he went into like the pitch meeting at the bank and he was like, I got 4 cheeses, and they're like, you better make it 5.
5 coincided with the exact number of races he had this year to prove himself. No more than 5.
Yeah, that was great.
That's perfect.
That was great. Well, thank you to Jack's Cheesy Mac, and I hope Jack's doing well. I miss seeing his face.
He is doing well. He's got his Cheesy Mac.
That's right. So some rumors were swirling around that Leclerc's people, his management, quote unquote, has had reached out or discussions with, or at least some initial conversation with the likes of McLaren, Mercedes, and Aston Martin regarding beyond his 2026 commitment to Ferrari. So it sounds to me like the feelers are out there that based on what happens in the new regulation set next year and who seems to have the jump start on the car development, it looks like Leclerc might be finally freeing himself from the shackles of Ferrari, or at least the toes are in the water. So out of those 3 teams that they mentioned there, what's your initial take on that, and who do you think would be the most likely place for him to land?
I don't know most likely, but I would say least likely is McLaren.
Maybe the question is where do you want to see him land?
I wouldn't mind seeing him at Aston Martin, because Fernando cannot race too terribly much longer, and they're not getting rid of...
Have you talked to Fernando about that?
I haven't.
He might have something to say.
I was going to say, he might be at your door right now. Angry that you just
He knows where I live. He can come talk to me. Shoot me a text, Fernando. But I don't see him being around too much longer. And Lance isn't going anywhere. They've got Newey.
Yeah.
It might not be a bad move.
John stole my thunder here. I can't see McLaren actually biting on that. You can have all the talks you want with McLaren. I don't think that's actually going to go anywhere. Mercedes, I don't think would make that kind of move. I mean, they seem hell-bent on trying to get Max, but if they don't get Max, they still have 2 solid drivers. I just can't see them taking Leclerc and putting him with George. Like, doesn't seem like a huge upgrade, and especially it's a huge cost. I just can't see that happening. Aston, though, that's interesting because, one way or the other, I mean, you got one driver who can't race forever and another driver who shouldn't be racing for forever. So realistically, you have 2 open spots. So yeah, why not? You should be having that conversation.
I look at this situation like how NFL teams or, fans of NFL teams start looking at their quarterback. Who would I trade for him? Right. So like, I probably wouldn't trade him for like a Dak Prescott or something like that. I wouldn't trade Jared Goff I wouldn't trade for Matthew Stafford back. I like Jared Goff. I would consider trading Jared Goff for a Patrick Mahomes or something along those lines. Somebody who's, really not that he's not elite, but I'd look at the driver market the same way. If I'm Mercedes, is Charles Leclerc better than Kimi Antonelli?
Yes.
Sure.
100% right now.
Yeah, 100%.
Is he better than George Russell? I think the argument also,
Maybe.
There's more of an argument there, but I think it's pretty much a slam dunk in a lot of people's eyes that Leclerc is a better driver than George Russell. Not who's in the better car or
You're
who
bringing
can
me
do
around to
the better
the
team
argument.
But like, if I'm sitting in Mercedes, I'm like, he's better than both our drivers.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we entertain the idea?
You're bringing
if I'm Aston Martin saying like he's better than both our drivers, why wouldn't I entertain the idea?
But do we all agree that there's no way I'm McLaren, right?
I don't see it.
I think that one's a tough sell, but I don't think it's impossible because I think, again, if you look at that from a comparison perspective, yes, McLaren has a great car and they have had a great car for the last 15 months.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that they would look at themselves in the mirror and think, he might be better than our drivers.
Is he though? I mean,
do you think?
I think it's an argument.
Okay. I feel like we have I think we're having an impromptu game now, right? We have to rank Leclerc, Lando, and Oscar, and you have to pick them in order of whatever and so equal machinery now, right? Who are you taking?
I feel like Oscar and Charles are 1A and 1B. I feel like they are so close, and I feel like Lando is 2.
Is he?
That's my gut. I think, and I think I don't know if this is
closer to them.
I don't know if this is how I see it or if this is how the world sees it, but I think the world sees Charles as a top 2, if not top 3 driver. I think of the people on the grid right now, everyone kind of agrees that Max Verstappen is the best driver in the world.
Yeah.
When you get to number 2, now the points don't necessarily say it, but when you get to number 2, it's got to be a conversation between Leclerc and Oscar, and maybe throw in Lando in there.
Can I give the devil's advocate hot take?
Sure.
He's inflated because he's at Ferrari. He gets a lot of goodwill because he's at Ferrari. He does an awful lot, but he also doesn't. Like, he just doesn't get it done. And I know that he doesn't always have the best machinery, but I'm not saying he has to be Max and he has to go out there and like drag his car to a victory, but just more often than not, it doesn't happen. And I'm not saying that Lando or Oscar do the same. Well, actually, I think I can say the same for, I think we can say Oscar is closing in on that. I mean, and he hasn't even been around for that long. I do think there's an argument between Leclerc and Lando. I don't think there's an argument in Oscar. I think if you were saying like Oscar's 1A and Leclerc is 1B, I think it's the other way around. I think Oscar is 1, and then there's some argument between Lando and Leclerc, and I don't really see a difference between the two because I see them both doing the same kind of thing, which is
I'm with you, Brady.
Kind of going up and down, not really getting it done. Some weeks are great, some weeks are not. And I think Leclerc does get an awful lot of like, he's at Ferrari, so we love him. And yeah, I mean, he's still really, really good. I'm not trying to take that away from him, but okay, that's the devil's advocate. I'm going to step back a second because I feel like there's a lot of hate there right now.
No, I agree with you to a certain extent. I definitely think Oscar is better than Lando and Charles. I think Charles not being aggressive enough is the one reason out. Other than he's obviously better than Kimi. He's probably better than George, but neither one of the two of them are aggressive enough to be championship drivers. I don't believe. And so I think that would be the reserve is like Merc would hold out for Max because that's who they really want. And they're probably going to hold out so long that Charles is already going to be somewhere else. So they're not going to get him anyway. unless they make a quick move on him.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting thought.
I think I'm not going to belabor the argument anymore, but it does intrigue me that, according to this report, it's Leclerc's management who is making these initial outreach.
I assume under
not
Leclerc's
the team's
blessing, right?
Yeah,
it's not like they just called him up and
my point is that it's not the teams trying to court him. It's him trying to put his best foot forward and say, look, I might potentially want out of my current situation. What are you guys doing?
Right.
Hey,
I mean, that's two different.
That
there's two different
there.
conversations here, right? One is, hey, he's reaching out. Do you think it's going to happen? Versus, if it was actually like a real serious conversation, is that the right move? Those are two different conversations to have.
Well, and I think because this is more for 2027 and not next year, I think the interesting thing will be we're having this, debate right now about how Oscar versus Lando versus Charles versus George or whoever, if one of those teams brings out a real turd of a car next year and the driver really can't do much of anything with it, then, there's that. So we might see a scenario, and I'm not saying this will happen, but we might see a scenario where Charles and Lando are driving for Mercedes in 2027.
For all we know, next year McLaren comes back and Oscar absolutely dominates, and Lando realizes that he can't win as his teammate and wants to dump. So McLaren needs a driver, so Leclerc goes over to McLaren.
Well, and let's remind both ourselves
we don't know.
And the listener at home, we have yet to get a driver change correct. Between the three of us.
What's the one prediction that we have had, and or one that we didn't have? I'm sorry, and go with that
and it's not only that, but no one seems to get these correct.
Right.
I think of Carlos, right? No one saw Williams coming with him, and I think when the driver market opens up and guys start making moves, it's really, really difficult to predict. It's fun to predict because I think that all this does is continue to prove that no one knows how to throw a stick in their own wheel like Ferrari. Everyone should be dying to go to Ferrari, and then they do, and then they die. Poor Lewis Hamilton is a prime example of that. You go to Ferrari to die is what it seems like, because you want to race for the red,
here first,
and it's
folks? Done. It's Leclerc to RB next or in 2027.
Could be. He might
showing signs of a great car right now.
He might just want to try to bring the Frenchies back. He's like, I'm going to Alpine. F it. Let's go. He's like, I'm French anyway.
We'll have to see what shakes out with that one. But that was fun. That was a nice little hypothetical. So, John, you had a new idea for what to talk about on our little discussion here. Maybe not today, but lay it on me, brother.
Yeah, not today, but a little prep work. I'm thinking about something called the pit stop. And, there's a number of different radio stations that we might listen to, or podcasts that we listen to. And every now and again, they will bring in the listener, you at home, to join us on a segment. And doing a podcast recording, that's very difficult to do. But what I thought would be nice is, there's a lot of times in a race scenario where a rule happens that we might not know about, or a scenario happens, or this driver market thing. And my proposal is, during a race week, post-race, Sunday evening, the loyal listener has the opportunity, either via text, or if they have our numbers, or via a social media platform, X, Instagram, what have you, send in a topic or a question that you would like us to cover on the next episode. And it could be anything that you want to cover. And we will pick from the best one, and the three of us will do our best to tackle it.
Our best isn't very good, but
it's not.
We're no Max Verstappen on this podcast.
No, I love that.
We're more like Pierre Gasly.
Oh, low blow.
I know.
I like that. I really like the idea of involving other people in discussion, mainly because as much as I enjoy talking to the two of you guys, it's always fun to hear from others and hear difference of opinion, or it might not even be a question. It might be, here's my hot take on this. What do you guys think? I like that. I think that would be very cool. So we'll have to do, this is the hardest part, was that we actually have to do some actual like marketing and promoting for this.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to assume you're going to take that on since this was your idea. So thanks for that, John.
I will take it on. And especially since your European trip, I'm hoping that, we get a lot of Euro questions coming in about, why are you dumb Americans doing this? And don't you know the rules? And, more than happy to tackle that. The quick answer is we're doing it for fun and no, we don't know the rules.
Yeah.
So anything outside of that, we can answer.
So yeah, we'll put that out there starting next Sunday. Yeah.
That's right. For Singapore.
Okay. Speaking of, we got to make some picks. So we are still seated, obviously no race weekend this weekend. So points haven't changed. John, you're up by 5 on both of us. But that means you have to make your picks first. So we pick our top 5 and our bottom 5. And then you pick your 3-pointer. So we'll leave the top 5, bottom 5, and we'll just post that on our Twitter account or whatever. But tell me what your 3-pointer is going to be.
My 3-pointer is that Max Verstappen will win this race.
Ooh. I mean, we've always said
this has been a safe space for calling a winner. So,
especially since we're going back to back to back to back.
Yeah,
that's a tall order. I have no problem with it.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, that brings you up next, Brady. What's your 3-pointer?
3-pointer. Well, John, I'm going to join you, but I'm not going to say Max. I'm going to say Oscar.
Ooh.
Win that race.
Oscar to win.
I don't think we've ever had like straight up competing 3-pointers like that, right? Well, we kind of
for a race winner. No.
Yeah, I don't think we've done that.
We've not.
So my 3-pointer, my initial 3-pointer here. I have a backup.
Okay.
But my initial 3-pointer. Oh, I don't know. This is a toss-up because these one is a little more likely, but another Williams top 5.
Another Williams top 5.
This would be, I believe, 3 in a row for them. That means
that's a tall order.
Yeah, that is a tall order.
I'd give
Singapore
it to you,
is hard.
Singapore
it's
is
hot.
Yeah, Singapore is.
It's humid. It's long. It's at night.
But it's
People
also a
struggle.
tight track. It's not a high speed track where Williams tends to be good. Like there are high speed parts to it. Yeah, but there are tight spots to it. So yeah, I have no problem with that.
For giggles, what was your backup? Just so we all know.
It will make you giggle. Stroll out-qualifies Alonso.
Can we put an asterisk on it? So I just want to make sure we keep watching to see if that actually happened.
Sure.
I had a backup for mine too. If you weren't going to give me the Max, I knew you guys would give me a win, but my backup was going to be that Lewis would not finish in the top 10.
Ooh.
I mean, considering all that's going on this week and the car,
but I don't want to bet against a man when he's down.
Yeah, you don't do that.
Yeah,
we don't subscribe to that here.
Nope.
Well, that'll do it. That's our race picks for our 3-pointers, and we'll post everything, if I remember, to social media. And man, really looking forward to next week. I think that's going to be fun. Hopefully, we can get some listener involvement. Hopefully, it'll be a decent race. And until then, thank you very much for listening, and y'all have a good night.